number nobody talks about, but once you cross it, everything shifts. Not overnight, not dramatically, but permanently. It's not $1 million, not even $100,000. It's just $10,000. Sounds small, right? That's exactly why it's dangerous. Because most people think nothing changes at 10K, but the truth? Everything does. At $0, life feels like survival. Every decision is urgent, every bill is pressure, every mistake hurts. You don't think long term, you think next week, next meal, next payment. Your brain isn't free, it's trapped. Then something happens. You hit your first $1,000. It feels powerful for a moment, but deep down, nothing really changes. Because 1K disappears fast. One emergency, and it's gone. So you stay in the same mindset, still cautious, still reactive, still surviving. Then you climb 2K, 3K, 5K. Now something strange begins. You start to feel a little space. Not safety, but space. For the first time, you can breathe for a second longer. You can delay panic. You can say, I'll handle it tomorrow, without your heart racing. But the real shift, it happens at $10,000. And it's not about the money. It's about what your brain does when it knows you're not one step away from zero. Because at 10K, you stop reacting and you start choosing. You wake up differently, not rich, not comfortable, but less desperate. And desperation is invisible poison. It makes you say yes to things you hate. It makes you tolerate people you shouldn't. It makes you think small. But now, you hesitate. You question. You start asking, do I really want this? That question changes everything. Because most people never ask it. They can't. They're too busy surviving. $10,000 doesn't make you free, but it gives you something more powerful than freedom. Options. And once your brain tastes options, it will never go back. But here's the part nobody warns you about. Crossing $10,000 doesn't just change your life, it changes your identity. And that's where things get dangerous. Because now, you're no longer the person you used to be, but you're not the person you want to become either. You're stuck in between. And in that space, most people make the biggest mistake of their lives. They go backwards. Hitting $10,000 feels like winning, but it's actually a test, and most people fail it. Because the moment you cross that line, life gets quieter. The pressure drops, the urgency fades, the panic disappears. And for the first time in a long time, you feel safe. That's the trap. Because survival mode made you sharp. It forced you to move, to hustle, to think. But comfort slows you down. At $0, you had no choice but to act. At 10K, you suddenly have the option not to. And that option destroys more futures than failure ever could. You start telling yourself, I deserve a break. I've done enough. I'll push later. Later becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And slowly, you stop climbing. But here's what's really happening inside your mind. Your brain thinks you've made it, not logically, emotionally. And once your brain believes the mission is complete, it shuts down the drive that got you there. This is why people who reach $10,000 often stay there, or worse, they drop back down. Because they relax too early, they upgrade their lifestyle, spend a little more, take more breaks, lose that edge. And the scariest part, it feels justified. You say things like, I'm not broke anymore. I'm doing better than most people. And that's true. But it's also the beginning of stagnation. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in tension, in pressure, in the space where you're slightly uncomfortable, but still in control. $10,000 removes that tension, just enough to make you slow down, not enough to make you safe. That's why it's the most dangerous number. You're no longer desperate, but you're not disciplined yet. And discipline is the only thing that can replace desperation. If you don't build it now, you will fall back. Not because you're weak, but because you removed the only force that was pushing you forward. So the question becomes, what do you do when survival is no longer driving you? That's where the real game begins. Because the people who escape the $10,000 trap, they don't rely on pressure anymore. They build something stronger, something internal, something that doesn't disappear when life gets easier. They build systems. And once you understand that, you stop playing the money game like everyone else. You stop chasing numbers and start controlling outcomes. But here's the twist. Most people don't even realize they're stuck. They think they've leveled up, when in reality, they've just paused their progress. And if you stay paused too long, life will push you backwards.
Something changes when you stop chasing $10,000 and start asking, how do I make this repeatable? Because at this stage, it's no longer about making money once. It's about understanding how money works. Most people at $10,000 are still thinking like workers. They think in effort, in hours, in I did this, so I earned that. But people who break past this level, they start thinking in systems. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? They ask, how can I build something that makes money without me? That shift is everything, because effort is limited, but systems, they scale. At $10,000, you're standing at a crossroads. On one side, comfort, stability, slow growth. On the other, risk, learning, expansion. And the direction you choose here determines your entire future. Because this is the moment where you stop being a consumer of opportunity and start becoming a creator of it. You begin to notice patterns, why some people make money effortlessly, while others struggle endlessly. It's not luck, it's structure. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on repetition. They don't depend on one income source, they build multiples. They don't just work harder, they work smarter in a designed system. And once you see this clearly, you can't unsee it. You start to realize, I don't need to do more, I need to do better things. This is where many people break, because building systems requires patience, and patience is rare. Most people want results fast, but systems take time. So they quit too early, or they go back to chasing quick wins. But the ones who stay, they unlock something powerful. Consistency. Because once you build a system that works, you can repeat it, improve it, scale it. And suddenly, $10,000 isn't impressive anymore. It becomes your starting point. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Reaching 10K is not success. It's proof that you're capable of more. And if you stop here, you're wasting your potential, because the real game begins after 10K. That's where identity shifts again. That's where discipline is tested. That's where systems either grow or collapse. And most people never go beyond this stage. They stay stuck between trying to be stable and trying to grow. But there's no middle ground. You either commit to growth or fall back into comfort. And once you understand this fully, you'll see money differently forever. Because it's no longer about survival, it's about control. Control over your time, control over your decisions, control over your future. And that control starts with how you think. At $10,000, the real battle doesn't happen in your bank account. It happens in your mind. Because now you've proven something important. You're not stuck anymore. You can make money. You can figure things out. You can move forward. But here's the problem. Your mind knows it too. And instead of pushing you higher, it tries to protect you. It whispers, "You've done enough. Don't risk what you already have. Stay safe." That voice sounds logical, but it's dangerous, because safe is where growth goes to die. At this stage, fear changes shape. It's no longer fear of failure. It becomes fear of losing progress.
You're no longer afraid of starting from zero. You're afraid of dropping from 10K back down. And that fear creates hesitation. You overthink decisions. You delay action. You play it too safe. And slowly, you stop taking the risks that brought you here in the first place. This is where people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They think, oh, wait until I feel ready. I need a better plan. I shouldn't rush. But in reality, they're stalling because growth requires discomfort, and discomfort is exactly what they're avoiding. The truth is simple. If you only make safe decisions, you will only get safe results. And safe results don't create breakthroughs. At $10,000, you must make a choice. Do you want comfort or do you want expansion? Because you can't have both. The people who move beyond this stage, they learn to act despite fear, not without fear, but through it. They understand something powerful. Fear is not a signal to stop. It's a signal that something matters. So instead of backing away, they lean in. They take calculated risks. They experiment. They fail and adjust. And most importantly, they keep going. Because they know the only way forward is through discomfort. But here's the final truth. $10,000 is not the destination. It's a doorway that reveals who you really are. Will you stay the same person who fears losing what they have, or will you become the person who risks it to build something bigger? Because once you pass this point, you don't just change your income, you change your identity. And when your identity changes, your entire life follows. This is why everything changes after $10,000, not because of the money, but because of the person you become to get it. And if you keep going, the next levels won't just change your life, they will redefine it completely.